You know that feeling when you hear a name and instantly picture exactly who that person is? Like you hear Darth Vader and boom, you see the helmet, hear the breathing, maybe even feel a little guilty about not calling your dad back. That's what Grand Admiral Thrawn used to be for Star Wars fans. The mere mention of his name brought this sense of inevitability. Like, oh no, someone's about to lose. So when Ahsoka finally brought him to live action, expectations weren't just high, they were astronomical. Fans wanted the galaxy's ultimate chess master. The guy who doesn't just win fights, he wins them in ways you don't even understand until it's too late. We were ready for Thrawn to pull off moves so genius they'd make Palpatine look like he was still in Sith preschool. But what we got? Well, it felt a little more like Thrawn was the guy in charge of the office printer. Technically still important, sure, but definitely not the fearsome mind who once dismantled entire rebel fleets while sipping tea and complimenting alien pottery. I mean, where was the calculating menace? The art appreciation? The moments where the heroes realized they were playing his game all along. Instead, the show seemed content to just have him stand in a dimly lit room, look slightly smug, and occasionally order someone to go do something vaguely threatening. And yeah, I get it. Subtlety is part of his charm. But there's a difference between subtle and stationary. And at times, this version of Thrawn felt like he was 2 steps behind instead of 5 ahead. It's not like live action can't handle that kind of character. Look at Andor, we had villains in that show who made you sweat just by existing in the same scene. Thrawn should have been that, but amplified. The kind of presence where every time the camera cuts to him, you know things are about to get really bad for the good guys. Instead, we mostly got Blue Voldemort with a shipping schedule. In this video, we're going to break down exactly how Ahsoka's Thrawn missed the mark, why the live-action version doesn't measure up to his legendary status, what the show could have done to bring out his brilliance, and how Lucasfilm still has one last chance to turn him into the terrifying genius fans have been waiting for. If you've been following Star Wars for any length of time, you've probably heard the name Grand Admiral Thrawn, and if you've actually read Heir to the Empire or watched Rebels, you know exactly why he's one of the most feared and fascinating villains in the galaxy. He's the kind of mastermind who doesn't just win battles, he dissects cultures, studies art, and predicts his enemies' moves, like he's reading from their diary. So when it was announced that Thrawn would make his live-action debut in Ahsoka, fans lost their collective minds. This was the chance to bring that brilliant tactician to a wider audience. To show the casual Disney Plus viewer why Star Wars diehards treat Thrawn's name with the same weight as Vader or Palpatine, the setup couldn't have been better. We'd already seen him go toe-to-toe with Hera, Ezra, and the Ghost crew in Rebels. He outmaneuvered them, cornered them, and made every escape feel like a miracle. Even when he lost, it was because his opponents got lucky, or took an insane risk, not because he slipped up. That's the Thrawn we were expecting. But as the episodes of Ahsoka rolled out, something felt different. This Thrawn wasn't quite the cold, calculating predator we'd known. The pieces were there, the voice, the mannerisms, the measured tone, but the edge was dulled. The moves felt slower, the plans less airtight. It was like seeing your favorite chess grandmaster show up to a match, and then spend half the game just moving pawns around while sipping tea. The problem is, Thrawn is supposed to be the kind of villain who makes you nervous just by existing in the story. Every scene with him should feel like a ticking clock you didn't even realize was counting down. But in Ahsoka, that tension was barely there. We're talking about a man who, in Rebels, could predict Hera Syndulla's flight patterns by studying Twi'lek art. In Ahsoka, his grand plan often boiled down to standing around in a big room and sending out troops. Sure, he talked about strategy, but the actual execution felt like any other Imperial officer with a fleet at their disposal. It's honestly heartbreaking because for some fans, Ahsoka was their first introduction to Thrawn, and this is the version they'll walk away with. They won't know about the terrifying siege of Lothal, or how he dismantled Phoenix Squadron piece by piece in Rebels, or the way he plays the long game like a grand strategy prodigy. Thrawn is supposed to be the kind of villain who gets under your skin, the one you think about long after the credits roll, the one who makes you wonder, how would I even beat this guy? But in Ahsoka, he often felt like a background element important to the plot, but not commanding it. It's a missed opportunity on so many levels. Imagine if we'd gotten a scene where Thrawn was 2 steps ahead of Ahsoka at every turn, or a moment where he let the heroes think they'd won, only to reveal he'd anticipated it and used it to his advantage. Those are the moments that make a character legendary. Instead, we got polite conversations, slow-paced orders, and a finale that made him feel more like a persistent obstacle than an unstoppable force. It's the equivalent of introducing Darth Vader for the first time and having him spend most of the movie doing paperwork. And for those of us who know what he's truly capable of, it's hard not to feel like something precious was lost in translation. Because when Thrawn is written at his best, he's jaw-dropping. In Rebels, he was a master of psychological warfare, using his enemies' histories and cultures to manipulate them. In the Thrawn novels, we saw how his genius wasn't just about brute force, it was about precision, about making his opponents defeat themselves. This is the guy who can look at a piece of art and deduce an entire species' battle tactics, who can predict your next move before you even know you're going to make it, who never underestimates his enemies because he knows arrogance is just a shortcut to losing. That's why his defeats in Rebels felt like miracles, not inevitabilities. There's a reason fans still talk about the scene where he corners the Ghost crew and calmly explains how he's already factored in every possible escape, or how he used the exact cultural traditions of the Twi'leks against them to predict Hera's decisions. Watching Thrawn work is like watching an artist paint. It's deliberate, confident, and you don't see the full picture until the last brushstroke. And putting that level of intellect into live action could have been a show-stopping event. It could have elevated Ahsoka from just another Star Wars spin-off to a masterclass in building tension through character. Instead, the awe we felt seeing Thrawn on screen came mostly from nostalgia, not from anything he actually did in the show. The silver lining is that Thrawn's story isn't over. We know he's being set up as a major villain for the Mandoverse films, and possibly beyond. That means there's still time to give him the depth and danger he deserves. If Lucasfilm leans into what makes Thrawn truly terrifying, we could still see the version of him that longtime fans have been waiting for. Show us the man who can dismantle fleets without firing a shot, who uses his enemies' own strengths against them, who makes every choice feel like part of a much bigger plan. And honestly, live-action Star Wars has proven it can fix past mistakes. Look at how the Clone Wars redefined Anakin Skywalker, or how Andor turned Cassian from a supporting role into one of the most layered characters in the franchise. It's not impossible to give Thrawn his moment. Imagine the reaction if we've got a scene in the movie where every move the heroes make is exactly what Thrawn wanted them to do. Or if we see him pull off a victory so calculated it feels like fate. That's the Thrawn people will remember. There's still a chance to get this right. It's going to take more than just blue makeup and a chilling voice. It's going to take writing that understands why Thrawn is feared in the first place. The tragedy of Ahsoka's Thrawn isn't that he was bad, it's that he was fine. And for a character like Thrawn, fine is the worst possible outcome. He's supposed to be unforgettable. And instead, he was just there. For those of us who followed him from the novels to Rebels, it's like watching a master pianist sit down at the keys and play chopsticks. Sure, the notes are there, but where's the complexity, the depth, the brilliance that made him legendary? This should have been his moment to cement himself in mainstream Star Wars canon, to stand shoulder to shoulder with Vader, Palpatine and Maul as one of the greats. Instead, it felt like a placeholder set up for something better down the line. Maybe that something better will come. Maybe the next time we see him, it'll be the Thrawn we know he can be. The one who makes even the bravest characters hesitate. The one who leaves fans buzzing about his every move. But until then, the saddest part is knowing that for many viewers, this will be their first and lasting impression of Thrawn. And it's not the one he deserved. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy my videos, please consider looking at my pinned comment and checking out the links for my Amazon storefront. It contains my favorite Legos, my gear in which I make videos, and comics that I read on a daily basis. I update it constantly, so please, take a moment and click on the link. On top of that, check out my second channel, Critical Analysis Hub Plus, and my third channel, Critical Analysis Hub XP. Just one click would go on a long way in supporting my channels and future in YouTube.